Have you followed this teacher case in the suing of the school and the principal? Have you followed this closely?
I have. We're speaking of the Abby Zwerner case. Abby Zwerner being the teacher that was shot. I'm a big gun safety guy, and so when I hear that this 6 year old was in school for several hours before he shot his teacher, and there were multiple warnings, red flags that should have been heeded by the administration that went unheeded. Then, of course, Abby Zwerner gets shot a little after noon by this 6 year old student of hers. It just, it makes my skin crawl because, one thing that employers owe to their employees is some reasonable duty of care. You've got to protect your employees and others that might be on your property from known hazards. And in this case, these people, particularly this one school administrator, which we'll talk about, was put on notice multiple times and ignored very, very clear warnings, choosing to do nothing, not following school policy. And of course, the result being that the teacher was killed. And now she's filed this lawsuit, and jury selection was happened. They've had opening statements, and the trial is now underway where she's suing, rightfully so, I think, for millions and millions of dollars. Fortunately, she did survive. She was not fatally wounded, but there's still a bullet in her chest. Okay. And so she's gonna win this lawsuit.
6 surgeries later. And
Yeah.
if you, I mean, I've read the summaries of the transcripts, and if you believe what's happening there at all, the some of the kind of red flags that you had, I think there was one comment that stuck out to me. Oh, don't worry about it. He's got little pockets or something along those lines. Kind of, I don't know. I mean, I suppose you could be, you hear 6 years old and you say to yourself, well, what could a 6 year old do? Or what 6 year old could be packing heat or have a gun? But there apparently, if you're following the evidence in this case, it appears that there is quite a bit that they could have done. And remember, it's a civil case, not criminal case. I mean, somebody like Murphy, can you imagine what Murphy would do with the parents of this kid in a criminal case?
Well, I know what Murphy would do, and I want to hear about it. But if you don't mind, Mark, we have some sound. Slot 3 actually is Abby Zwerner talking about that moment.
I remember him pointing the gun at me. I remember the look on his face. I remember the gun going off. I remember feeling something. It was a pretty scary day.
In that moment, what's going through your mind?
I was terrified. In that moment, my initial reaction was, your kids need to get out of here. This is not a safe classroom anymore, and then you need to go find help for yourself.
You guys would put her up and have her testify in a very similar way. I know you would.
Oh, man. I want to hear what Murphy would do with the parents of this kid.
Oh gosh, this is one that just gets your blood boiling, doesn't it? And this is one of those plaintiffs cases that I think we all kind of dream about. I'm really surprised this didn't settle out, guys. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but this is so bad, right? And I'm going to say a term here that is going to make me sound way smarter than I am for a second. We all remember res ipsa loquitur from law school, right? Which for the viewer, that's Latin for essentially the thing, therefore it is. And that's like if a piano falls on somebody's head, somebody screwed up. There's some sort of gross negligence somewhere on the line. And we remember those exams in law school. Is it the manufacturer of the rope that broke? Is it the moving company? Is it the people that didn't block the sidewalk? This is one of those. And I think that it sounds like there's plenty of gross negligence to go around between the mom and between the school. And I don't know what they were thinking. And the case that this reminds me of, guys, is that Ethan Crumbley case. Remember that one where the kid, he's older, his parents bought him a gun. He's a disturbed kid. He goes in and he's drawing these crazy pictures about shooting kids in math class. And one of the teachers like goes, this doesn't look right, takes it into the administrator. They bring the parents in who are like, nothing to see here, refused to take him home. They knew that they bought him a gun. They knew he had access to a gun, didn't say anything. And then he went and massacred, I think 4 kids in that. And they went after the parents on that. And I think that most real ardent Second Amendment proponents that I know, everybody I talked to was totally down with prosecuting the parents for that. And this mom got prosecuted criminally in both federal and state court under some interesting theories. She's lucky, I think, that the charges weren't heavier. And her interview, I think we got a SOT on her interview someplace too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's roll that.
So he has ADHD. Some are able to have it at a very mild rate, but he's off the wall, doesn't sit still ever. He actually really liked her. I will say that week he did come home and he was talking, a lot about how he felt like he was being ignored. So he would come home and, Mom, I don't think that she was listening to me. I didn't like that. And then actually he ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something. And she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up. He said, fine. And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident. And he got suspended for that.
Mark, I gotta toss this one back to you. I mean, we're seeing victim blaming in action right there, in my view. And I don't know who the guy is on her left, but it looks like he could be an attorney. What in God's name is her lawyer doing, letting her do these interviews? Like, please.
I tell you, if you've been around 6-year-olds or 5-year-olds or 7-year-olds, anybody of that age, the idea that somehow the kid's having a bad day or the kid, I'm getting disrespected at age 6. I mean that's a whole sociological analysis right there.
Right. And what kind of mom would leave a loaded gun without a safety on it in her purse? I present you that interview. I mean, and I think this jury's going to come in with a big dollar amount on this, and it's just the type of thing that just should never happen. In my view.
Yeah. So the mom, if I can just jump in real quick, the mom got. Let's see, Deja Taylor, she got 21 months in federal prison for being an unlawful user of marijuana while in possession of a firearm and making a false statement related to the firearms purchase. And on the state level, she got an additional 2-year sentence for felony child neglect to be served after the federal prison term. But Matt, you talked about victim blaming. All right, well, look. I want to just run through, I prepared a little timeline of these red flags that were ignored mostly by Ebony Parker, a school administrator who also has criminal charges pending. She's not gone to trial yet. But at 9:20 in the morning, the kid gets to school. He's said to have been in a violent mood, defiant, threatening others. Zwerner reported the aggression. It was completely ignored by this school administrator, Ebony Parker. Then again, at noon, 2 students said that the kid had a gun and ammunition. Again, Parker said no search. She refused to authorize any further action, including a search of the kid. At 12:30 p.m., 30 minutes later, the backpack was searched, and at that time, the gun was missing, but there was noted suspicious behavior by the kid with respect to his pockets, and so they wanted to search his pockets. Again, Parker said, oh, he's got little pockets, okay? There's no need to search it, okay?
My favorite is the little pockets.
It's crazy. A student showed the gun and the bullets to a friend during recess around 1:40. Again, Parker refused to search, and she said, hold off until the child's picked up. The mom will be here shortly, or words to that effect, and did not authorize any search. And then at 1:58, 18 minutes later, that's when this lady was shot. And so fast forward to the victim blaming by the attorney, and then I'll be quiet. In the opening statement, Daniel Hogel, who delivered the opening statement for Ebony Parker, says, questioned whether Zwerner, the teacher, failed to take steps for her own safety. In their opening statements, they are questioning whether this teacher took steps to protect her own safety. I just went over all these instances where she tried and tried and tried to get the administrators to do something. They did nothing, and then she got
So,
shot.
Phil,
I
I have
can't
a
understand the
question.
strategy.
I have a question. Is if Ebony Parker is still facing charges, did I understand that correctly?
Yep.
Has not been resolved. I assume Ebony Parker is not going to testify, and has a right, a constitutional right not to. And it's one of those kind of situations where you got the civil going before the criminal. If that's the case, all of that would come in. Presumably, your timeline would come in. And there used to be a judge who sat in the LA Superior Court, Alexander Williams III, and he used to say trials are basically to determine who's the asshole. And in this case, I think Ebony Parker or Ebony Parker's lawyer so far is winning that contest.
I concur. I can't understand this. I can't understand some of that strategy though, where you're going to blame this victim for doing. She did her best to try to get the school, her employer, to create a safe workspace, and they refused to do so despite plenty of warnings. The grand jury who indicted Parker, had a lot to say about that. It's essentially egregious.
Once again, where's our prosecutor when you need him?
Oh, let me tell you guys, this one gets, it's like I'm a cat looking through a window at birds. It gets me twitchy. It just makes you so angry. It's like, put me in the game. But this is also one of those things, a plaintiff's lawyer, if her plaintiff's lawyer, and you guys are two trial guys, man, if that lawyer has any game, and I think her team does, you could get a jury so frothy over this. And going back to the piano analogy, sometimes everybody is to blame, right? So there's plenty of blame to go around here. I think that school administrator connects into the deep pockets. I'm sure mom doesn't have any money. But boy, I'm looking for a really big result. The day I get a case like this, it lands in my office, guys will be doing this podcast from the deck of my yacht as the plaintiff's lawyer, because there's a big payday coming for somebody on this one.